Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Join me today for the second time. We looked it up, by the way. We looked it up. Chris Leitz from our city assessing department. He is your assessor from the city of Fitchburg. Chris, welcome back to the show. Yeah, we had to look it up in the videos because I told the guys in the meeting, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have Chris on for the first time. And somebody's like, you interviewed that guy, didn't you? And I was like, are we sure? And yeah, there it was.
Shortly after I started, I believe. Like maybe
somehow we got you in the door.
Days, yeah.
Well, either way, welcome back. I invited you back on the show, and we want to get you on when you can. You're busy. Your department is very busy,
sure.
And we recognize that. But we also want to do our part to help get the word out, kind of talk about the things that you're doing, and as things roll along here, hopefully you'll become a regular on this show, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
Then you're allowed to bring a mug. If you come on four times a year, you can bring a mug. That's the rule
that's
now.
That's a good reward.
I just set
good
that
incentive too.
Yeah, you can't bring this mug this day.
Sure.
You just slap assessing on the bottom of that.
Oh yeah, there we go.
All right. In all seriousness, today we are going to kind of look at what the department, kind of talk a little bit about the department as a whole, but then really get into what this year is as far as assessing goes and some timelines. So from a standpoint, your department assessing, what are you responsible for more than just the assessment?
Sure.
What's going on in that department year-round?
Sure. So our big project that we do throughout the year is just to create that assessment role. So there's a bunch of stuff, as you know, or as you all may know, that goes into that. So typically, kind of the bird's eye view, we start our assessment work late summer, early fall, where we review the sales, we do field inspections, look at permit stuff. The assessment date each year is as of January 1st. So in this case, we're in 2020. We're working on 2024's assessment roll. We're looking to capture the property as of January 1st, essentially. So where that really becomes important is looking at new construction stuff really close to the end of the year. There's a lot of end of the year, like anybody else, stuff that we have to look at. New construction permits, kind of ongoing work in progress stuff. If there's been fires, we really want to capture the value as of January 1st. So following that, we're typically in office reflecting all those changes in our software, reviewing any other sort of kind of office projects we have to do, and that'll go typically from January into March, April, somewhere in there. From that point, we move into kind of reviewing all of our data, making sure that we have it kind of buttoned up, clean. We don't have any, kind of errors out there, at least that we know about. And then we send out our notices of change assessment to any properties that have had an assessment change. Now, following that is the fun part that comes into appeals. So we have what's called open book, where essentially for a couple weeks, after we send those notices out, property owners have time to look at them and review the data on their property, say, does this seem right, what they have my property valued at? Yes, if so, great. You can, file it away and move on with your life. However, if you find that value to be kind of incorrect, you don't agree with it, you can come in and chat with one of our staff and say, hey, I feel this is off. Maybe we have some data point that's incorrect. Maybe we have an extra bathroom or something like that. We can get it corrected as needed, and then move on. From there, if you disagree with it further, if you still say, hey, I don't think this is right, you can come into what's called Board of Review, which is a bit more of a formal setting. They call it a quasi-judicial hearing, where there's members that are appointed of the committee, the Board of Review. They're kind of an unbiased third party. They hear our case as to why we feel our assessment's correct. The property owner or their agent states their case, why they feel their opinion of value is correct, and then the board deliberates, decides on the facts presented to them, and makes a decision. So following Board of Review, we have some kind of final reporting that we do, but the Board of Review kind of concludes our assessment year, and then we just start it all over again. So cyclical, there's a lot that goes into it each year. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's kind of
that's your overview.
The bird's eye
the
view.
elevator. I like the elevator pitch.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Well, this year, 2024, what are you calling this year?
So this year is an interim market update revaluation. So what that is, you have kind of two different types of assessment roles. You have a maintenance assessment role, which is where you're really only making physical material changes to a property that you discover. So in those years, we still review properties that have sold, different permits, new construction, stuff like that, just to verify if our physical data on the property is still correct. An interim market update revaluation, what we do is review neighborhoods at large. So we'll review all the sales and then try to determine where the average sale price is to our average assessment, and then we need to apply what we call a market adjustment to those neighborhoods. So if we say, hey, our typical assessment is, 90% of the sales price for a specific neighborhood in general, that property would then need to be adjusted upwards 10% to get to 100% of market value, which is our statutory responsibility. So,
Woo.
Fun?
It's interesting. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
So as it goes along, what are some of the common questions as you're going through this right now, when you're talking with residents or trying to learn more about it? What are some of those typical questions look like from homeowners?
So one of the biggest things that, in my experience, that I've run into is during revaluations, people assume they get their change notice and it says, hey, I'm going up, my assessment's going to go up 20% or whatever it may be. That means my taxes are going to go up 20%. And that's often not the case. Generally, I won't get into the specific details because I don't want to bore anybody. It's a complex equation, but the quick version of it is, if say taxes stayed flat, which we know they don't, but they're somewhat limited as to what they can go up by. So you're
talking about the city's portion, right?
Exactly.
I think that's got to be clear too.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Because I think a lot of times when the tax bill comes out and you see like, oh my gosh, my taxes went up. We're really talking about the Fitchburg line here in those taxes, which this past year was 1%. So interesting enough, like throw that into the mix here. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
I'm thinking, ding, that was a different department saying, hey, you better refer to that. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. So we'll create a fictitious world. So if the total tax bill stays exactly the same, that the city collects stays exactly the same, and the assessed value of the entire city goes up, what happens is the tax rate goes down. Now, that's a very quick and, elementary version of it, but that's kind of the logic would apply. So what happens is during a revaluation, everybody's values, at least in this case, would go up. And then presumably the tax rate should drop a little bit. Now, we don't know that that's what's exactly going to happen, but that's kind of what typically happens. And that's not considering any, increases from school district, whatever. So, but that's in kind of the short version of it is that's how things function. So just because you get an assessment increase of 20% doesn't mean your taxes necessarily go up in concert with that.
What about new construction? Why is new construction so important to other property owners when we're talking about assessments?
Sure. The more development you have, the more increase of new construction value you have. That kind of offsets some of the increase in taxes that you may have. So it works out quite well. Fitchburg's seen a ton of new construction. There's been a number of big projects, the Encompass Health Facility, all the new subdivisions. Highfield Reserve is a new subdivision going in just south of Fahey Fields, which is, I think there's over 200 residential lots or something down there. So over the years, that'll add a lot of value to the city, which is good for everybody.
At the end of the day, just your general message, you're here to help. Because I think we were kind of discussing off air, and I said, as a taxpayer where I live, I might go in frustrated because I don't understand, but you're here to help. You're here to help bring attention, but do your job first off. But,
exactly.
But really, you're here to help. You're going to be willing to explain any detail to the best of your knowledge to help people understand.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this for about 8 years now, since 2016, and I've enjoyed my time doing it. It's a nice mix of getting to chat with people. Long ago, I wanted to be a teacher. I realized I wasn't probably fit for that. I can get a little. I have 2 toddlers presently, and it's hard to teach them things. So, but it's very easy. I like chatting with the public. I like talking about things that I have knowledge in, and yeah, like you said, I want to help. We have 10,000 plus parcels here in the city. And my goal is to be correct on all of them. And as a property owner, I like to engage with you. So if you have some data on your property, I always encourage people to go into our website, look at what we have for your property, and if something's wrong, we'd like to know about it. We don't want to be incorrect. We don't want to have a value that's too high if it shouldn't be, if that makes sense. Conversely, we don't want to have a value that's too low when it shouldn't be. Our goal is 100% of market value. That's the statutory requirement. And that's what we try to follow. And I like chatting with people. I enjoy coming on Talking Fitchburg, chatting with you, and I like chatting with everybody here in the city. It's been a great year and a couple months so far, and happy to chat more if anybody has questions.
Yeah, and that's what we do. We hope to get you back on the show to answer more questions and just try to work through it on making sure people understand what's going on. But from your perspective, too, the more education you do, the better understanding people have of what's going on from your department and what you do.
Yeah, I think we'll always have, where we run into the most customer relations, I guess I would say, interaction with the public is when we send out our assessment notices during the appeals process. I would prefer to have conversations ahead of time. Open book is great. I know I'm kind of in the minority of assessors. I enjoy the appeals process myself. I like chatting with people, but I think, if we can get out and, the more people that know about, hey, I need to look at this, if my property value changes, if, it's something to stay in touch with. And if you have questions, you want us to review it at any point in time, just let us know. We're happy to do so.
All right, yeah, Chris is right. Go to the website, fitchburgwi.gov, click on the assessing page. It's got basically everything we talked about here today. Also some frequently asked questions. There's some videos there. And Chris's contact information is there as well. And as he said, his team is there to help out. And said, we'll look forward to having you back here, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely.
Breaking it down. Actually, we'll bring one of those cards here and be like, hey, what does this mean, Chris?
Oh, yeah, there we go.
And we should just go that route.
Sounds good to me. We can have a little simulated open book session.
Well, I'll be I'll be good. Promise. All right, thank you so much, Chris.
Yeah, you bet.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.